This video was made in collaboration with Narutopedia. For more information, check out the link in the description. The Life of Tenten from Naruto. Tenten is a kunoichi from Konohagakure and a member of Team Guy. While initially wanting to be like the legendary Sannin Tsunade, she realized that she did not have the necessary chakra control to be a medical-nin. However, she did not give up on being a powerful kunoichi, putting her all into perfecting her weaponry and fūinjutsu skills. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great— Ooh, wow. Ha! Nope. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Tenten. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all our social medias. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Background. Since her time as a student in the academy, Tenten has had a goal to become a legendary kunoichi like Tsunade, one of the Sannin, which she openly shared to the others. After graduating, she was assigned to the Jonin tutelage of Might Guy, alongside her classmates Rock Lee and Neji Hyuga. For their final test to become genin, Guy forced his potential students to spar him and see their commitment to succeed. Ultimately, all three passed. During this time of trial and failure, trying to emulate Tsunade, Tenten attempted to become a medical-nin, building up her raw strength and such. While each failed attempt was damaging to her pride, Tenten later discovered her talent for fūinjutsu and thus developed her unique fighting style. Realizing her own nature, she stopped trying to become like Tsunade, but still has not given up on her dream of becoming a legendary kunoichi in her own right. Later, Tenten and her teammates were offered the chance to enter the Chūnin Exams in the possibility of being promoted to said rank. However, all three decided to pass on the exams for the time being to further hone their skills. Chūnin Exams. By having not been allowed to participate the year before, Team Guy took part in the Chūnin Exams along with the Rookie 9. They initially tried to avoid attention by acting weak by being beaten around by the two Chūnin that weren't letting them pass through, but Lee accidentally let slip his true strength by interfering with a fight between Sasuke Uchiha and Kotetsu Hagane. After Neji asked Sasuke to present who he was, Sasuke didn't answer, to which Tenten giggled to herself thinking it was cute. During the written exam, Tenten assisted Lee in gathering answers. Using strings to adjust hidden mirrors on the ceiling, Tenten allowed Lee to see his fellow ninjas' answers and copy them without getting caught. To know that Lee saw the answers she snuck in for him, Lee had to adjust his forehead protector. She was seen again during the second part of the exam in the Forest of Death with her teammates. Their team decided to split up to find weaker teams to corner and take scrolls from. She and Neji met back up at the assigned destination but became worried when Lee didn't return. She and Neji went looking for Lee and arrived in time to find an unconscious Lee surrounded by Team Dosu. Tenten was seen taking over watching an unconscious Lee for Ino and then proceeded to wake him up by violently shaking him. During Sakura and Ino's match, Neji, not being impressed, commented on the skill of their hand-to-hand combat, wondering whether this was as far all kunoichi can fight, to which Tenten replied that it didn't matter whether a man or woman was in battle. Tenten was pitted against Temari during the preliminaries of the Chūnin Exams. Since their fight went unseen in the manga, the anime adaptation explained the circumstances that occurred. Tenten began the match by throwing a few of her weapons at Temari while keeping the best distance for offense and defense, though Temari easily blew the weapons away with her fan. She was surprised that not one weapon reached Temari. Temari explained the power of her fan and that once Tenten had seen all three moons, the match would be over. Since nothing had even come close to hitting Temari, Tenten used one final technique that she was saving for the finals, the twin rising dragons, but ultimately was ineffective against Temari's fan. As Tenten ran out of weapons, she used strings to control the weapons and fling them back once again at Temari in an attempt to surprise her. Temari, however, quickly used her fan to blast Tenten along with her weapons and she hit the floor. Temari finally used her fan to trap Tenten in a cyclone and propel her into the air. As the cyclone dispersed and Tenten fell to the ground, Temari had Tenten land on her closed fan, knocking her unconscious and calling the match she just had boring. Even after she was declared the winner of the match, she threw Tenten off the fan in an attempt to have her land on the many weapons on the ground to injure her more. However, Lee jumped in to save Tenten before she hit the ground. Before the finals began, Tenten helps Neji in his training to perfect his techniques. She was seen using her weapons to help Neji perfect his 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven technique, commenting to him that he has surpassed all kinds of human capabilities. Later, she watched Neji's fight against Naruto in the finals, where she admired Neji's skills and thought that there would be just no way that Naruto would beat a genius like him. For pretty much all of the fight, she rooted for Neji and watched him in amazement. Tenten was shown to be shocked, praising Naruto and his abilities for defeating Neji. She was later seen again during Temari and Shikamaru's match and comments that she could never beat that kind of opponent. Konoha Crush. In the anime, it was shown that Tenten went down to check on Neji. Chaos was heard by the two outside, witnessing giant snakes attacking the whole village. It was shown that Tenten, along with Neji and Kiba, were sent on a different mission to get back Hinata, whom had been captured. They then had a battle with a bunch of wolves, which was a trap to not let the gang proceed. Tenten summoned a fire dragon from her scroll, obliterating many of the attackers. She then told Neji and Kiba to go save Hinata. Ultimately, she defeated the enemies she was faced with, and Hinata was saved. Later, Tenten can be seen at the third Hokage's funeral, alongside the other villagers, mourning his death. Search for Tsunade. When Tsunade returns to Konoha for becoming the 5th Hokage, Tenten can be seen when she went to ask Neji after his training. She tells him that Tsunade has returned and asks him to check it out with her, which Neji replied that he was not interested in. Kurosuki Family Removal Mission. In the anime, Team Guy and Naruto were sent to get rid of the Kurosuki family. After taking care of most of the enemy members, they ran into their leader, Raiga Kurosuki, who was more than enough to handle her and her teammates. Ultimately, Raiga was defeated. She and the others soon found a young boy named Renmaru, who was not only working alongside Raiga by using his dojutsu, but was crippled and thus couldn't take care of himself, much to Tenten's disgust. Later, she saves his life by taking him to the Curry of Life shop. She brought Renmaru out of his depression and convinced him to live and stand on his own 2 feet. After this, she made a formidable opponent for Raiga Kurosuki when she faced him in a one-on-one fight. Knowing that he used lightning release techniques, she quickly deduced that her metal weapons would be a bad idea to use, and took on the missing nin using her wooden-based melee weapons. She appeared to gain the upper hand in the battle when she succeeded in disarming Raiga until he ultimately overwhelmed her with his techniques. Academy's student-led mission. In the anime, the Academy students were divided into teams of 3 and were assigned to a genin who would lead them on a mission against the other teams. Tenten was assigned to lead a team of 3 Academy students. Her time with them was not covered much, except that she was doing better than Naruto. Cursed Warrior Extermination Mission. In the anime, she was sent on the mission to the Land of Birds with Naruto and Neji. During this mission, the capabilities of her taijutsu skills were shown when she battled assassins, as well as her great preciseness when she encountered the Cursed Warrior. When she, Naruto, and Neji came across a trap that would possibly set off if it didn't hit correctly, Tenten took it upon herself to allow themselves to pass after correctly dismantling it. She later smacked Naruto for faking his own death, claiming she was worried about him. While this was true, she showed anger towards Naruto and Neji for leaving her out of the plan. Star Guard Mission. In the anime, her team and Naruto were assigned to a mission to Hoshigakure. Menma Memory Search Mission. In the anime, she, Neji, and Naruto were assigned to escort Menma, a young boy with amnesia, to the Land of Vegetables. Konoha Plan's Recapture Mission. In the anime, the Konoha 11 was brought together to stop Geno from bombing Konoha. Tenten was shown to be a very keen observer, picking up on facts that others overlooked. Sunagakure Support Mission. In the anime, Tenten was the only one of the Konoha 11 to be left out of the mission to save Gaara's student from the 4 Celestial Symbols men, and Tenten scolded Lee because of it. Lee explained that Tenten was away on another mission, so she couldn't have come, though Tenten attacked him anyway, using the dynamic entry to defeat him. In Naruto's footsteps, the Friends' Paths. In the anime, about 2 years later, Tenten's team entered an early Chūnin Exams hosted between Konoha and Sunagakure. For the first exam, Tenten and her teammates were randomly split into different rooms. Shikamaru, as proctor, explained that everyone only needs to answer 1 question on the test, but their team's combined score must equal exactly 100 points to pass. Neji decided to send vibrations through the wall to tell his team which question they should each answer. Afterwards, Shikamaru instructed everyone to answer a bonus question of what teammate would be sacrificed as a necessity, to which that person would be disqualified. Tenten, being loyal, chose not to answer at all, and ultimately her team passes the first round. A race to Sunagakure was then issued where only the first 30 teams to arrive would qualify for the second exam. Ultimately, Tenten's team arrives in time to qualify. The following day, the second exam began. Each team was then given either a Heaven or Earth scroll and were required to obtain the missing scroll and bring them to the main building of the Demon Desert within 3 days. As Neji's team began searching for enemies, they were soon encountered by a Sunanin team. Sen removed a genjutsu, revealing to Tenten's team that they were standing in quicksand and were dragged into sand waterfall pit. After managing to escape the pit, they found Team Shira and saved them from their treacherous fellow Sunanin. As Neji asked why they attacked Shira's team at all, it was explained that they had no respect for Shira as a ninja since he held no skill in ninjutsu nor genjutsu. Realizing Shira's similar struggles, Lee angrily went after the other Sunanin. Tenten and Shira's team soon caught up with the overzealous Lee and saved him from the Sunanin's group assault. After the other Sunanin left, Lee challenged Shira, which the latter happily accepts. Tenten was amazed at how equal the two fought. When the two taijutsu fighters began going all out, Lee with 5 of the 8 gates, and Shira using his self-created 7 heavens breathing method, the fight was ultimately called off. On the 3rd day of the exam, Tenten's team ran into a team of Ame kunoichi. After a small skirmish, the enemies retreated, deciding that Team Guy was not the target they sought from their chakra levels. Despite this, Tenten's team pursued the Ame-nin into an old ruin. As the battle continued, the ground collapsed, swallowing Tenten and Ajisai. After Tenten awoke, she went to check on the seemingly unconscious Ajisai. After casually telling the enemy kunoichi to put her weapon away, realizing she was ready to attack, Tenten convinced Ajisai to a truce. Despite this, Ajisai showed an obvious resentment to the 5 great shinobi countries for not understanding the struggles of smaller villages. Ultimately, they were able to escape their cave-in when Tenten unsealed a vast amount of water to forcibly wash away the rubble. Once on the surface and reunited with their respective teams, the two teams parted peacefully. Later, Team Guy was caught in a massive sandstorm. Tenten summoned a protective dome for them to wait out the storm. After the storm cleared, they spotted Matsuri, who begged them to help save Gaara. They learned there that Fu is there too, but that the Sunanin Hoichi was attempting to extract their respective tailed beasts. Working alongside Fu's teammates, Tenten provided Neji with a chakra blade to break through Fu's cocoon as means to hold the extractions. Later, despite lacking a matching set of scrolls, Tenten's team decided to finish the exam and head to the main building. There, it was learned that the Chūnin Exams ended early due to controversy happening in the second exam. Instead, it was decided that a report on each participant would be sent to their respective village leader for them to decide any promotions. Upon returning to the village, Tsunade decided to promote Tenten and Lee to Chūnin, plus Neji to Jonin per Gaara's recommendation. Kazekage Rescue Mission. Team Guy was assigned by Tsunade as backup to assist Team 7 in rescuing Gaara after he was captured by the Akatsuki. While en route, they met up with Pakun, who redirected them to Team Kakashi's destination, an Akatsuki hideout where Gaara was being held. Not long after, they were intercepted by the Akatsuki member Kisame Hoshigaki. Team Guy attacked him, with Tenten using a spiked kunai bomb, but Kisame blocked the weapon with his sword and retreated underwater to avoid the explosive damage. After an ongoing battle and finding Guy's students to be a problem and preferred to fight Guy alone, Kisame created 3 water clones that trapped Tenten, Neji, and Lee in water prisons to prevent their interference. After Neji broke himself and Lee out, Lee immediately attacked and defeated the water clone trapping Tenten, setting her free before suffocating. After being freed, she watched on as Guy defeated Kisame. Afterwards, she, along with the rest of the team, examined his body only to find someone in his place. Realizing they were being stalked, Pakun led them off towards Team 7. When they convened with Team Kakashi, Team Guy was tasked with bringing down the barrier blocking the entrance to the Akatsuki lair. Once they found the seals thanks to Neji's Byakugan, they simultaneously took them off, succeeding in removing the barrier, but in the process were immediately ambushed by copies of themselves. Tenten fought hers, but unlike her copy, had only a finite amount of energy and thus started to get tired. Lee communicated to her and the rest of the team a solution: to become stronger than they had been when the copies had been created. Tenten pushed herself beyond her limits, raining dozens of different weapons down on her double, defeating it. With their battles won, Team Guy went to meet up with Team 7 again. After Neji used his Byakugan to locate Deidara, they snuck up behind him in time to block his escape. Deidara realized he was outnumbered, so he tried to retreat. As her team attacked, she unrolled her scroll and launched several weapons at Deidara, though he managed to avoid her attacks. With Team Guy on Deidara's tail, they cornered him, leading him to make an exploding clone, resulting in almost killing both teams were it not for Kakashi's intervention. After Gaara was rescued and their mission completed, both teams accompanied them back to the village, and later paid their respects at Chiyo's grave. Soon after, Team Guy and Team 7 left for Konoha. Akatsuki Suppression Mission. In the anime, Tenten attended Asuma Sarutobi's funeral. Three Tails appearance. In the anime, Tenten is placed on Team 2, a team tasked with guarding Team 3 as they seal the Three Tails. After taking position, her team comes across members of Team Guren. When Lee runs into attack, he ends up getting trapped in a smoke screen by Kagiri. Though ready to help Lee, Tenten is stopped by Yamato, as he didn't want her to mistakenly hit Lee in the smoke. After Lee escapes the smoke, Tenten uses the twin rising dragons and temporarily immobilizes the enemies with explosions caused by attached explosive tags on kunai. Ultimately, her team manages to defeat Guren's men. When Guren personally made an attempt at disrupting the sealing of the Three Tails, Tenten and Lee arrived in time to foul her plans for some time, but ultimately the sealing is disrupted. After recuperating, they're confronted by Guren's men and battle once again. However, due to Guren's men now being empowered by Orochimaru's fūinjutsu, Tenten and her team are easily defeated. Ultimately, the task to seal the beast failed again, and thus they are recalled back to the village. Pain's assault. After completing their mission, Team Guy decides to have a rest before returning to Konoha. On their way, Neji discovers Gamabunta injured with his Byakugan and they approach him, only to be told that Pain had attacked the village. When they arrived at the village, they found it destroyed, and soon found Hinata, who was injured and in bad condition. After examining her, Tenten noted that her wounds were not fatal, but she needed immediate medical attention. After regrouping with some survivors, Tenten stood to watch as Sakura healed Hinata and was happy when she regained consciousness. After Naruto returned from defeating Pain, Tenten, along with the rest of the village, celebrated his victory and cheered him on. Past arc, the Locus of Konoha. In the anime, while she and Neji were heading to a Konoha weapons lab to resupply their village's military strength, Tenten recapped her previous village from when she led Team Guy, with Naruto substituting for Rock Lee, on a similar mission to get weapons from Io in the aftermath of the Konoha Crush. It was during that time that Tenten got to briefly use the Jidanda. Though Io relieved her of the still developing weapon at the time, Tenten expressed hope that the Jidanda is finished so that she could use it again. 5 Kage Summit. When news reached Konoha of Sasuke's recent dealings with Akatsuki, Tenten and the rest of the Konoha 11 decided that they should personally kill Sasuke before he involves the village in a war. Ino, who was unhappy about this, cried, and was criticized by Kiba, but was comforted by Tenten. She also stood up for Ino, shouting at Kiba, telling him not to talk to her like that. When Naruto came back to the village along with Sakura, he insisted that dealing with Sasuke be left to him. Tenten got angry and told him that this should not be something he undertakes on his own, and that none of them would just stand by and watch. Despite this, Naruto firmly stated that he would be the one to handle Sasuke, and then he'd tell them everything when the time came, as he walked off to Ichiraku, leaving Tenten and some of the others with mixed emotions. Power. In the anime, Tenten and her team are sent to provide backup for Team Kakashi on their mission to investigate the mystery of the hole in Tonika Village, which Kabuto Yakashi was responsible for. After a Naruto clone formed into a larger Four Tails version of Naruto, she had to move to a more secure area. She later battled Kabuto's puppets with her comrades, while Naruto took on his clone. After Naruto defeated the clone and Kabuto retreated, she and the other Konoha nin returned to their village. Paradise Life on a Boat. In the anime, Tenten and Shikamaru were sent on a mission to deliver supplies to Naruto and his squad. Facing a few difficulties, such as being trapped in a whirlpool and sailing around in circles, Shikamaru caught on. With the help of Tenten sealing the ship in one of her scrolls, the gang outsmarted the ninja who wanted to rob the ship, and take all its loot by unsealing the ship and having it dropped on the enemy ninja. Later, Tenten returned to Konoha. As she was in charge of the weapons supply room for preparations of the 4th Shinobi World War, she decided to round up all the Konoha girls to a barbecue dinner, so that their minds would be taken off from all the stress, and have a night surrounded by friends before the war started. Hinata, Sakura, Ino, Shiho, and herself all gathered up, and started reminiscing on how they met and were brought close like classmates at the Chūnin Exams. 4th Shinobi World War. Confrontation. When the 4th Shinobi World War begins, she was placed in the 1st Division with Choza Akimichi and Hiyashi Hyuga. The 1st Division was sent to the border of the Land of Lightning to defend against an approaching portion of the White Zetsu army. In the anime, Choza told Tenten not to worry because they had Shikaku, the best strategist around, and to have faith in her comrades. Reassured, with a smile, Tenten agreed. With the White Zetsu army approaching, Tenten was overwhelmed by the amount of them as she stood alongside Choza and Hiyashi. After Darui's initial assault on the approaching enemy forces, Tenten shouted that she wouldn't let any of the enemy pass, as she jumped into battle and launched a barrage of projectile weapons filled with kunai and shuriken at several of the opponents that hit on point. Tenten was later seen on the sidelines, devastated and shocked that one guy could be doing such massive damage that was being caused by Kinkaku, who was transformed as a Jinchūriki. Shortly after, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji came as reinforcements. Tenten was seen aiding the alliance by launching a barrage of kunai from her scroll towards Kinkaku to help aid the Ino Shikacho team to defeat the enemy by sealing it in the treasured tool, Kohaku no Johei. After the 1st Division defeated Kinkaku and Ginkaku, she found the lost Bashosen on the chaotic battlefield. She was eventually drawn into battle with Kakuzu's lightning mask and destroyed it with the Bashosen using the wind element. She commented to herself that the treasured tool she had in her possession was sweet, but it took up a lot of chakra. This did not stop her from keeping on fighting, so she went to find new enemies to defeat. In the anime, she's also able to take down Kakuzu's wind mask with the Bashosen, using the fire element by sending a huge wave of fire. Tenten was later seen collapsing on the ground, exhausted from using one of the treasured tools of the Sage of Six Paths, having barely enough chakra to live. A fellow Konoha shinobi healed her and told her not to touch the fan again, or it might kill her, much to her dismay since she had great proficiency with the tool. After being healed later, when nighttime hit the Alliance, Tenten was seen to be pulling on Ino as she walked behind her, begging to get the Bashosen back. After it was time to get back on track, she joined up with Team Asuma, aiding them in devising a strategy, though she was left despaired for not being allowed to use the Bashosen despite her proficiency with the treasured tool. 4th Shinobi World War, Climax. After being informed by Inoichi Yamanaka from HQ that Naruto and Killer Bee were fighting the masked Madara, Tenten and the rest of the Konoha 11 rushed to their aid as fast as they could. As she ran alongside Ino, she worries about Guy and whether or not he was alright and protecting Naruto. Allaying her fears, she noted that since Kakashi was there as well, everything would be fine. Later, Tenten arrived with her division and was announced by Darui. She stood alongside the remainder of the allied shinobi forces as they prepared to face their opposition by trapping the Ten-Tails, which turned out to be a failure. The Ten-Tails later began its move. After facing several attacks from the Ten-Tails, Tenten later learned of Neji's death, and appeared with Guy and Lee beside Neji's corpse, with Naruto and Hinata gathering along with them. She tried to console a weeping Lee, which didn't seem to be working. Birth of the Ten-Tails Jinchūriki. Having received chakra from Naruto, Tenten and the other members of the Alliance charged towards the Uchiha and the Ten-Tails, with the situation later turning grim as the Alliance was trapped in a barrier with a tailed beast ball firing tree. Tenten and the other shinobi soon found themselves shrouded in the previous version 1 mantles again, which Naruto had given out. She and the others subsequently found themselves on the outside of the barrier, escaping the near-fatal attack thanks to Naruto and Minato's action. The Ten-Tails transformed into its final form, the God Tree, and ravaged the Alliance. Tenten was able to escape its chakra-absorbing attacks. Later on, the 5 Kage returned to the battlefield and charged towards the God Tree, along with the rest of the Shinobi Alliance. As everyone got ready to charge, Guy, Lee, and Tenten were shown to be standing together by one another, with Guy stating that their youth is limitless, with Lee and Tenten agreeing with their sensei and getting ready to jump into battle. After Tsunade and Sakura summoned 1/10 of Katsuyu's body and started healing the Alliance, Tenten and her team were seen, with Guy and Lee jumping in the healing goo produced by Katsuyu. Tenten then got irritated and told the pair that if they knew what was going on, then they should get going. When Naruto later contacted his comrades telepathically, Tenten and Lee both sensed Naruto calling them and went without hesitation. They both mobilized together with the others by jumping down to the main battle inside the Susanoo, and are shocked when the tailed beast mode mantles surround them upon entering Kurama's tail, and as well as being given massive Rasengan. Carrying out the plan spot on, Tenten and the rest of the Konoha 11 break through Obito's defenses using the Rasengan Naruto had created, giving him and Sasuke the opportunity to attack Obito directly, with landing a final blow. Tenten and her comrades later assisted Naruto with wresting control of all the tailed beast's chakra from Obito's control in order to stop the holy tree from blooming, and succeed. Tenten regrouped with Guy and Lee. A weakened Guy went on about the power of youth, which Tenten commented only if his body kept up with his heart. Then the team saw Gaara, Sakura, and a dying Naruto fly over them from above with Gaara's sand, and wonder what is going on in the place they were headed to. She is soon exasperated with the pair as Guy is determined to still fight and head over to Kakashi's location, even though severely exhausted, and Lee adamant to follow his sensei to the letter. As she asked Neji why he had to leave her alone with these two extreme characters, referring to them as boneheads, Guy and Lee are struck down by the falling Kohaku no Johei and Beni Hisogo that was discarded by Madara. This caused Tenten to fall over as well due to the impact. After she regained her consciousness, Tenten asked whether Guy and Lee were alright or not. She recognized the treasured tools after Madara had expelled them from within her, leaving her in shock to their reappearance. Guy went on ahead to where the main battle was occurring, later on followed by Lee. When Lee saved his sensei, Guy asked where Tenten was. The chaotic tremors later felt across the battlefield caused Tenten to fall over and drop her scroll, which was shown to be unrolled with the two treasured tools exposed. As she slowly started getting up, she noted that she needed to ask somebody from Kumohagakure to tell her how the treasured tools work. The scroll is then pierced by a piece of Madara's discarded forehead protector, which left her in shock. Later, when Madara Uchiha finally succeeded with the activation of the infinite Tsukiyomi, much like the rest of the world, she too was caught by the roots of the god tree and fell under the Genjutsu's power. Inside the Genjutsu, Tenten dreamed of Guy and Lee acting more mature and cool, as well as wearing mature clothing, proudly speaking about it with a still-alive Neji. In the anime, her possession of the Six-Path Sage's tools appeared to have a unique effect to Tenten's illusion, allowing her to retain her memories of the war. Finding herself seemingly back in Konoha, she was shocked at how different all of her friends and allies were acting, including Naruto being known as Menma. Concluding that she was stuck in a very elaborate genjutsu, she attempted to dispel it, but to no avail. Ultimately, she decided to avoid conversing with any of her friends, believing they may be in fact agents of Madara. After failing to get help from Kurenai, who in this world was only an avid fan of genjutsu but lacked the talent to perform it, she was approached by a traveling merchant, who said there was a shinobi in Amagakure with advanced genjutsu prowess who could help her. Accepting his map to Amagakure, Tenten decided to leave without asking for approval. This led to her being captured and branded a traitor, as the map was revealed to have secret information on Konoha concealed. While locked up, Neji and Lee secretly met with Tenten, promising to prove her innocence. Later, the village was attacked by Amagakure. As Tenten watched in horror, Menma came and saved her. Deciding to help, Tenten joined Menma in fighting off the Ame-nin, using the two Six-Path Sage tools. After the enemies were defeated, Tenten was applauded by all, convincing her that she belonged there. Kaguya Ōtsutsuki strikes. After Naruto was able to defeat and reform Sasuke, Tenten, along with the rest of the Shinobi Alliance, were released from the Infinite Tsukiyomi. Tenten then went to where Darui was, and unsealed the Beni Hisago from her scroll that she had sealed two of the treasured tools in, which Madara discarded earlier. After giving the treasured tool to Darui, he released the captured Kumonin, Samui and Atsui from it, as well as showing her how to wield it for future use. She later attended Neji's funeral along with the rest of the Konohagakure shinobi. Kakashi Hiden, Lightning in the Icy Sky. Tenten is part of the team of Konoha ninja assigned to provide security at the Blood Prison. When the Ryuha Armament Alliance stages a prison break, Tenten helps round up the escaped prisoners. The last, Naruto the movie. 2 years after the war, during the Rinne Festival, Tenten stood alongside her team, Ino and Kakashi, as meteors began falling towards the earth. Konoha Hiden, the perfect day for a wedding. Tenten performs her morning routine of weapon throwing and thinks about what present she'll give Hinata and Naruto for their wedding. She wants to give them a kunai from her collection. However, during the night, she becomes concerned that such a gift would be expected of her, and is a bad sign that she is solely interested in weaponry, and not finding a relationship for herself, like Naruto and Hinata have done with each other. She has little money because she spent it only on rare weapons, but Tenten contemplates using what she has in order to buy a normal gift. Lee comes to see Tenten while she trains. He explains his and Guy's earlier reasoning and how, by dressing as a housewife in order to test out their idea, he is convinced that he and Guy made the right choice, and he now wants to make sure Tenten isn't going to get Naruto and Hinata the same gift. Tenten doesn't understand Lee's explanation at all, but is nevertheless put at ease by what he says. Because of Lee's gift, she can give kunai like she originally planned and won't need to worry about having the worst present for Naruto and Hinata. She resumes her training, glad that she can continue to be herself. She later attends Naruto and Hinata's wedding, taking a photo of herself along with Hinata, Sakura, and Ino. New era. Over the years, Tenten's hobby of collecting every type of ninja tool from across the world escalated to the point where she opened a shop to sell the tools, though it's nearly always empty due to the peaceful era. Amongst the tools, the treasured tools were displayed in the shop with a sign that said, "Not for sale." Konoha Shinden, Steam Ninja Scrolls. When word reached Konoha that Mirai Sarutobi hadn't packed enough ninja tools for her escort mission at Yugakure, Tenten was tasked with delivering supplementary baggage to the kunoichi. When she arrives 2 days later, Tenten hands over the tools and decided to take a day off to enjoy the local hot springs with Mirai. During the stay, there were talks about a ghost haunting the inn. Eager at the notion of ghosts, she decided to help investigate. She even decided to tease Guy about his apparent fear of ghosts. Ultimately, they found out that it was a young orphan named Tatsumi, who despite having no money, was determined to visit all the hot springs in the land in memory of her late mother, and was stealing small bits of food to survive. At Mirai's request, it was agreed that the little girl could join them on their own trip. Tenten, however, soon returned to the village. Later, it was revealed that Tenten was helping in an investigation of the missing girls from the Land of Hot Water by helping Kakashi and Guy gather intel. Naruto Shinden, Parent and Child Day. Naruto and Himawari Uzumaki arrived at Tenten's store in hopes of finding a Kurama doll. Tenten excitedly greets the duo, but she was unable to help them regarding the toy, but instead offered alternative gifts, such as a makeshift kunai set and a necklace for Parent and Child Day, which Naruto ended up buying to help her business following Tenten's persuasive tactics, after getting emotional at the idea of possibly having to close her store due to the lack of sales. Versus Momoshiki Arc. In the anime, the genin participating in the Chūnin Exams had to reach a venue point in a certain amount of time, in order to answer a true or false question. Tenten was tasked with dwindling the number of genin, using various traps and summoning puppets to do so. Later, Tenten and Shino Aburame, proctor for the second phase of the exams, watched from a monitoring room as the genin try to retrieve each other's flags. After witnessing Boruto Uzumaki's performance against the three Senka brothers, she praises him. Time Slip Arc. In the anime, when Urashiki Ōtsutsuki was spotted in the area, Tenten joined several other Konoha-nin in pursuing him. However, this turned out to be a diversion by the alien, who placed a genjutsu on them to let him sneak into the village. Meanwhile, the grown-up Sasuke and Boruto were sent back in time to shortly after Sasuke's defection. There, the two pretended to be traveling performers and were put under watch by Naruto, during which past Tenten and her friends helped Boruto and Naruto clean up a bathhouse after the commotion Naruto and Jiraiya caused. In the anime, months later, while Himawari Uzumaki was out observing different jobs for her career, she sees Tenten asleep while at her weapon shop, due to lack of sales. Owl Arc. In the anime, Tenten attended the memorial service for the fallen people of the 4th Shinobi World War. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about all our latest videos.